African Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda, who is representing President Yoweri Museveni, the Honorable Minister, who has given us a very good statement. Yeah, she deserves the clap again. Members of Parliament who are here from East African Legislative Assembly and the Ugandan Parliament, distinguished student leaders from East Africa. First, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you all, because the representative nature and numbers clearly are a good sign for the integration of East Africa. I hope this momentum can be increased so that this fire, this spark, can spread throughout East Africa, so that issues of integration will be sorted out and we'll move on with other major issues facing the people of East Africa. I want to salute the leadership of the Guild Leadership Academy. I think they have done good work. They have been able to deliver a message that brings all of us together, and they have been able to penetrate the corridors of power in most of the East African countries. Please continue carrying out this. Chairman, continue. This is the beginning and not the end. The discussion, the future was highlighted as an important task for all of you, the future of East Africa. But in order to build a viable future for East Africa, we need to be conscious of where we are coming from. I'll say therefore a few words as to where we are coming from. The tempo and momentum for the African people to be together in spite of where they may be in the different continents was sparked off by Marcus Garvey when he mobilized the black people, the Africans in the United States, to come back home. He had an energetic program. The program suffered a number of problems. Nevertheless, his idea never died. On the contrary, the idea was inherited by other Pan-Africanists, especially people like Du Bois and Padamore, and also leading African leaders like Kwame Nkrumah and Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, who were championing East African integration and African unity. Of course, they started with a lot of energy, enthusiasm, but they have had challenges. But it's important to point out that in 1940, 1995, the activists who were fighting for a Pan-African, United Africa, and East Africa for that matter, gathered in Manchester in the UK. And among those who played leading roles in this Pan-African meeting were actually students. Kwame Nkrumah was a student. Jomo Kenyatta had just been a student. Hastings Banda was a student. So many of them were students, but in spite of them being students, in spite of the fact that they were young, they were burning with a desire to see an African liberated and see Africa united. So the struggle continued, and it is from this conference that more fuel was given to ensure that Africa was decolonized. So within 10, 20 years of the Marches Conference, we got independence. Ghana in the 1950s, and other countries followed. But the days of liberation, instead of bringing us closer together, tended to divide us even more. So there was actually a struggle. Forces that wanted us to be united, and forces that wanted us to be disunited, and therefore exploited, and therefore controlled. I'm glad that the forces for unity formed the Organization of African Unity in Addis Ababa, and the Organization of African Unity has subsequently become African Union. So those are some of the important milestones in our development as East Africa and our demand for unity as East Africa. But apart from the Nkrumahs who I have talked about, who played active role as students, perhaps I should give a local example. And the local example I want to give is Yoweri Museveni, who was a student at the University of Dar es Salaam and a student leader. And he and several other students decided to leave the University of Dar es Salaam and go to the liberated areas of Mozambique. And in the liberated areas of Mozambique, they were able to acquire some political and military skills. And it is some of these skills that Yoweri Museveni used to lead a liberation struggle in Uganda, which brought freedom in our country in 1986. So as students, you can achieve a lot. You can do a lot, especially when you are united, as indeed you are. Your chairman, Masesa, said you don't want to be spectators and let decisions being taken away from you. Actually, you should be at the center stage. You should play a vanguard role. You as young people, educated from the whole of East Africa. You should demand accountability from the leaders as to what they are doing to see the people of East Africa united and integrated. This is crucial because as you are now all well exposed, the survival of the African people, and for that matter, the East African people, depends on being united so that we can be stronger in every respect, politically stronger, so that we can be listened to. We can play our rightful role in international discourse on issues so that our economy can also grow. Ugandan economy will remain microeconomy in terms of African economics. So let's use our knowledge, our love for integration, our desire to see East African Federation. Let's push those ideas. Let's build on the foundation of the past, because indeed, if we ignore the foundation of the past, we may end up building the future with a foundation of sand, and the future may not be long-lasting. So I'm really here to invite the guest of honor, who is representing President Yoweri Museveni, who would have wanted to be here, but because of other major engagements, could not make it. He couldn't have sent a better person than the Chancellor of Makerere University, who is also the second Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda, and who has done a lot of political work since he was your age. Because in 1980 elections, I'll not go into that history, he was the only member of parliament elected on the ticket of Uganda Patriotic Movement. Young people would be anxious to run parliament and become parliamentarians. He decided to decline taking a seat in parliament in order to oppose the divisive and negative politics of the day. Nevertheless, he continued with the struggle, and since 1986, he has been in the government of Uganda in different ministries. I should point out that he took a sabbatical leave at one stage. The people in his constituency said, "Can you go for leave?" And during his time on leave, President Museveni appointed him to be the ambassador of Uganda to the People's Republic of China. Since, from the time he was appointed ambassador to China, within a relatively short time, 2-3 years, the relationship between Uganda and China was raised to a level unprecedented in terms of cooperation. Ndugu Chong, I should also point out that he's a graduate of King's College Budo, Makerere University, and Johns Hopkins University. He's a man very well exposed, and I should point out that he is the first chairman of the Global Fund. And I'm sure when I say the Global Fund, you know what I mean. It was set up by the by WHO, fight against HIV. And Dr. Chonga led that organization very well. He mobilized the resources and laid the foundation on which the fight against HIV globally has been resting. It is therefore my great pleasure to request my brother Ndugu Kionga, who is representing the president, to come and make his statement. Welcome him more warmly.